It's not every day that I talk about a safe Backrooms level here on the Broogli channel. Usually I talk about deadly ones, but the one in today's video is safe, kinda. In this video, I will be explaining Backrooms level 493, also known as the Quietude Town. This level is extremely liminal, extremely nostalgic, and it's kinda got a Dreamcore vibe. I think it's pretty cool. I think you're also really gonna enjoy it. So without more talking, let's go ahead and get into the video, and let's explore the small neighborhood level of the Quietude Town. Level 493 has a classification of a class 1 ? With a survival difficulty of it being allegedly safe and secure, but a small entity count with one real creature you gotta worry about. However, I'll talk about that creature in the usual entity section. Hold your horses. This level is known by travelers in the backrooms as the Quietude Town. Now the word quietude sounds fake, right? It sounds made up, but it actually means the state of stillness, calmness, and quiet in a person or place. Kind of like a zen or like a meditative area. And that's what this level tries to embody. It's described as a lonesome town that seems like many people used to live in it. But now in modern day, it is empty, it is hollow, and it is a liminal grave, kinda. The levels page says that it was abandoned due to something called the incident that happened on February 27th, 1989. I'll explain the incident later. Again, I gotta get over the level first, and then I'll get into all the other stuff. The entire level is written to be a safe and forsaken neighborhood with a sense of nostalgia. According to wanderers who have managed to come here, it seems like you've been here before in a weird way. The houses are empty and barren of really any notable features, and they all lay on top of these small grassy hills. Through these grassy hills, there's this road that kind of snakes through and carves a path through it. And this is how you explore the level, this is how you get from house to house and stuff. The level is not infinite in any way. In fact, it's very small, just the size of a regular neighborhood, and at its border around the houses, there are invisible barriers that keep anything from continuing outwards. Or rather, the barriers exist to keep things from coming in. The Quietude Town itself has no day or night cycle, because the sky is constantly kind of stuck in a sunset position, which adds to that calm and relaxing ambience I keep talking about. The air inside of this town feels cool, and it gets below 20 degrees Fahrenheit regularly. Inside the houses, it's not much warmer. Only gets to about 30 degrees inside as well. Still pretty cold, and you still want to wrap up in a blanket or something if you have it. The weirdest feature about this level and this town is that the neighborhood feels frozen in time. Like nothing ever happens here. It is empty, it is unmoving. It seems like time itself has been stopped. There's this empty melancholy that's in the air, and everything is just so forgotten. It's not to say it's a bad thing or anything, but it's just barren. Houses are about the only structure or building that exist in this level. They're usually on top of those hills like I talked about earlier, and those roads I mentioned curve through the hills and lead to different houses. Alongside these roads, there are stop signs, negative signs, warning signs, and so on. These are unusual signs that you wouldn't really see in real life, but they are here in the Quietude Town. Now, some of you might be thinking that this level is kind of like level 94, but when you look at the similarities, there really aren't that many besides houses existing on grass. This level is very small, very condensed. It's just a few square miles in size and just a handful of different houses that you can explore. This map here kind of depicts the general layout of the level, and as you can see, there's not much to do here. It's kind of just like a really tiny, reserved little town. The houses themselves can have a multitude of different design styles though, from European styles to South American styles to Asian and North American architecture. Things can vary widely, but much of the level tends to have a kind of Japanese influence in its design and in its vibe. But because of this, if you want to stay inside of a house, you kind of have your pick of where you want to stay. Walking inside of these houses, you'll actually notice that, like I said earlier, most are pretty barren. A few of them have a couch or two, maybe a table, maybe a chair, and everything that's inside of the houses is dusty. It all has this thick layer of dust, like everything's been sitting there untouched for a long time. Empty boxes, empty cabinets, empty containers, and that sort of thing are common. The exact measurements for the size size of the Quietude neighborhood is approximately 699 meters long and 499 meters wide. And after those parameters, you'll get to that invisible border that I mentioned earlier. Beyond the border, which is kind of a clear border, you can't go through it, but you can see through it. But beyond that, seems to be some kind of thick forest. This forest is known to be very disturbing to look at. It's kind of dark, it's kind of misty, and it's almost forgotten as well. But you yourself cannot get to the forest because of the border. But inside of the little Quietude town, there's been several different sightings and claims of strange creatures and apparitions that appear only on this level 493. So now I want to talk about those and what they might be. That rhymed. Wanderers who make it here to this level often report seeing ghosts. There are ghost sightings when they walk around the neighborhood. It's thought that these ghosts are just the residents that used to live in the Quietude level, and for the most part, they're kind of just walking around aimlessly with no goal. They're not scary ghosts per se, but they do look weird. I mean, it is weird to see a ghost, but they're not gonna like kill you or something. Sometimes the ghosts have been seen interacting with each other, even walking through houses, even operating electronics or appliances, and then disappearing 10 seconds later. Several images of the ghost have been captured too, but usually when you take a picture of them, different parts of them seem to be glitched or blacked out or really faded in photographs. But it does appear that all signs point to these ghosts being the residents that used to live here. And also, they are ghosts because of that incident that happened many years ago, where something came in and just killed everybody. But another phenomenon on this level is the presence of unique TV channels that can only be found in this level. So in the back rooms, if you're walking around different levels, there's usually TVs around. They're going to be playing static or some other basic thing like a movie. But here on level 493, the level seems to have its own channels. There's specific channels for specific things like entertainment, music videos, news, education, things like that. All of these channels are broadcasted from an unknown location, but they're only broadcasted to this level. And the channels themselves are a very weird and uncanny thing to watch. If you turn on the news, you'll see a weather report for the current forecast of the Quietude town. You'll also see reports on the news of something called the Being walking around. If you switch over to the music channel, you'll see modern music from real life, but remixed in a way that just sounds weird. If you turn the channel to the educational section, you'll see children's TV shows that are all strange and unnatural. But the weirdest thing is the fact that you're so deep into the back rooms, but TV channels are still popping up. It just gives the wanderers that come here and see this a sense of loneliness and emptiness. But the ghost sightings and the TV channels are the two main phenomena that you'll encounter when you're walking through this peaceful little neighborhood. Although the entities that reside here could also be called a phenomenon, low-key, but I'll get into that section right now. There are two confirmed entities that live inside of the Quietude neighborhood. Those are the sorrowful landlord and the Being. The landlord appears to be a docile, calm entity that kind of monitors the level and the entire neighborhood at all times. Physically, she's called the sorrowful landlord because she appears to be crying. She looks like a human-sized female Japanese doll with black hair and very pale skin, and she's calm and relaxed usually, but she is always weeping. The landlord lives in one of the small houses here in a traditional Japanese style home, and if you go inside of her house, you'll see a bunch of fabrics and huna dolls and things like that. Everything feels hollow, everything feels empty. Even looking at her herself, you can tell she's not human, but some other kind of being. The creature is always in this depressive state, weeping and crying and being full of sorrow because of the incident that happened. I know I keep talking about the incident, I've talked about it a billion times, but I'll get into that in a second. The other entity, like I said, is the Being, and really the only way to explain that is to explain the incident. Beyond the borders of this little neighborhood, in that forest that I talked about, all of that used to be accessible. The borders used to not exist. You could go out into the woods and camp and explore the rest of the level for who knows how long, but it wasn't always blocked off. You used to be able to go there. Years ago, the residents seemed to be able to just roam around until that incident occurred. The entity known as the Being, which in my opinion I think is an instance of Entity 69, which I covered in its own video previously, but anyways, the Being appeared in the forest here and began to attack and consume the people that lived in the Quietude neighborhood. Only two photos of the Being exist, one in the nighttime and one in the daytime. The Being itself seems to be a giant arachnid type creature with extremely long legs and a very small body, and its intentions are to be aggressive and eat people. This is pretty simple, but it's unknown if this Being still lives beyond the neighborhood in the trees and it's trapped back there from the barrier that's been added there, there, or if it kind of disappeared, or if it died, we don't know. But this incident, pretty much in simple terms, the town got massacred by the being. It's unknown if the being will return, it's unknown where it's at, or really what it is, but like I said, I think it's an instance of Entity 69. But if you want to come to this level and you want to come explore the Quietude neighborhood, which I recommend doing, it seems really chill, you can go to an office window in level 3 that has this bluish or purple sunset out of it, and jump through it, and you'll end up here inside of the Quietude neighborhood. To exit, you have to find the sorrowful landlord and ask her to let you out, and then she will send you to level 494, the next level. This level seems really cool. Honestly, I wouldn't mind living here, except I don't know if I trust the barrier to keep the being out. It looks pretty scary, but the houses are cool, the aesthetic is cool. I really liked this liminal vibe, what they're going for. I really enjoyed it. Reading the page is really nice, and I hope you enjoyed it too. Thank you for watching the video. If you want more levels like this, make sure to leave a like, and make sure while you're down there, check out my Twitter, my Instagram, Spoogly, my other channels, all that stuff. Thank you all for all you do. I appreciate it. Without further ado, I'll end the video here. Love and appreciate you. Bye-bye.